Well, I'm glad.
Well, let's talk racing.
Yeah, let's talk racing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys had fun out there. William Byron had a lot of fun. And what a cool driver to watch the evolution of his career, right? He said it post-race. Like, I started out doing iRacing. We saw what he was able to do in trucks. Now he's that guy.
Yeah.
Every week he's
for those of you that don't know about William Byron learned how to race on iRacing. And iRacing is obviously way more realistic than what it ever has been. And the folks at iRacing do a great job. But going from iRacing to legend cars to late models, all the way through the Truck Series and Xfinity Series and Cup Series, that's been William Byron's progression. Most kids start in go-karts and legend cars, but William comes from a great family.
Yes.
His dad is a very intelligent man that is very sharp with everything and very calculated with everything that he does. And he put William in a lot of great spots. But William is a hardworking kid.
Yeah.
And I talked to Rudy Fugle at the Clash, and I asked him, I said, do you realize how fortunate you are to have a kid like William Byron that works as hard as he does at everything that he does? Because it's not that way for everybody in the garage. And I think William's work ethic and the people that he has around him with his family and Rick Hendrick and Rudy and all the people at Hendrick Motorsports, he's just blossoming right in front of our eyes.
Right.
You look at last year, he won 6 races, comes out this year, wins the Daytona 500. And I think he's going to have another year where he wins 5, 6, 7 races. And because I don't see them being any weaker than they were last year. They don't have a body change. They don't have to worry about the balance of the car. They could win a handful of races pretty quick in the first part of the year.
To your point with Rudy Fugle, they were paired together when he had all that success in the Craftsman Truck Series. Yep. And that chemistry is so solid between the two of them. And what Kevin was saying, they pretty much picked up right where they left off last season. Are they already, what do you say, favorite for the scooting on there to the championship?
I would definitely have the 24 in your Final Four. And usually I don't like to pick that early, but like, He's different. He's ready. Like Max Pappas, I used to work at MPI, and Max told me a couple years ago that there was a switch that had been changed. He was ready to make that jump. And last year we saw it was the 6 wins. This year he's starting out with a 500 win. He has a little bit of swagger. Mm-hmm. Like he's got that 24 swagger. I told him, we texted last night. I said, man, congratulations. He said, unreal. I can't believe it. I said, I can. I said, dude, you're worthy of the car number. Like,
yeah. Right.
Like, cause it's different, right? The iconic numbers you kind of got to grow into. Like, obviously, Kevin, you taking over the Goodwrench Chevrolet is kind of a similar situation. Right. So like, it's a little bit of imposter syndrome, I'm sure, for a little bit. And then now he's kind of there. So.
Well, and the one thing that I find really interesting about a lot of these young kids, and you've heard Bubba talk about it, you've heard Blaney talk about it. I haven't heard William talk about it, but is the confidence. Mm-hmm. They talk about the lack of confidence, and you when I go back and think about just the magnitude of things that happen in this sport and the things that you experience and the pressure that is put on you. I was 25 when I started. A lot of these kids are 19, 20 years old when they're getting into the Cup Series, and you can't explain to people what it's like to have to experience the week-to-week pressure of trying to make your car go fast. The questions that come when the performance isn't good or you make a mistake, and being able to let that go is something that I really see in William because of the fact that I think he's matured, but I also think he's not dwelling on what somebody says, what situation that has happened. Yep. If you make a mistake, just move on and go to the next week. Because by the time you get to Monday, you have to be working on next week in order to be prepared. And if you're dwelling on something that a reporter said or something that a competitor said, sure, you want to have as few problems as possible because of the fact that you don't want to be fighting battles all the way through the year. And that's not William's nature, but I think it was almost the opposite with him. I think he needed to be a little more aggressive and stand his ground. Yeah. But I think he's comfortable with all of that. And you can hear it when he talks. Chase Elliott, same thing this weekend. When I heard him go into an interview this weekend, I'm like, oh,
it's a little different.
He's ready for the year. The way he speaks and his demeanor and the way that he talks and how comfortable he looked, it felt like Chase Elliott was ready. But that's what I see in William. And I think, as Chase Elliott said in his interview, I think William is in that equation and conversation every single week, no matter the racetrack, of being able to win there.
What's interesting about William, too, is I feel like he's been like that for a while. I remember when I was pit road reporting for trucks, and they had their engine expire at Talladega, and it took them out of the championship hunt, right?
Yeah.
Talladega. Such a heartbreak for him. But even when he was so much younger, he already handled the media so well, the setbacks so well. Like, he's already had that mentality. And I do think a lot of it goes back to the people around you, his mom and dad, his friends, his core group of people that surround him. So William Byron, he might be the guy once again this year.
And the crazy part about this Daytona 500, yeah, William and Alex Bowman were in the mix. But really, those two guys, them getting together and causing the wreck, that was really what wiped out all the cars. Those guys actually made it through the wreck and were able to put themselves in a better position once all the cars were wiped out, because they made it through there and were able to win the race and capitalize on it.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.